Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Stock Talk. This is a series I make whenever I feel like it's necessary, where I cover some exciting news and price action in regard to some of the stocks that we've been talking about on the channel recently. So in this case, we have Moderna, Canopy Growth, and First Majestic Silver. Alright, one had a great day, so Moderna killed it today. Canopy absolutely flopped today. And then First Majestic Silver, I've talked about it before on the channel in a video I uploaded about gold and silver miners and why I'm so bullish on those in 2020. So go check that out if you're not familiar. I haven't talked about it in a while, but I wanted to bring it up now because it's doing very well, and I want to tell you why I think the macroeconomic environment is shaping up to really boost precious metal miners. Precious metals, so gold and silver, but precious metal miners as well. Okay, so we'll get to that last, but first we'll get to Moderna. Before we get into that, if you guys do go on to gain value from this video, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a like and subscribe if you're not already and want to catch more content like this. And as always, I really appreciate it if you guys already are. It means a lot. Okay, so let's get into Moderna. Again, it had a great, not necessarily a great day, it had a pretty good day, but it really popped off near the end of the day on some good news. And I'm sure if you guys are positioned in this, you would know that already. But yeah, let's get straight into the news. Shoot, I got rid of myself. All right, hold on. Let me float myself on top. All right, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's get straight into the news, all right? So this is a Nat Geo article. I just want to let you guys know it's important to look, if you are researching a stock or a company that you're invested in or you're looking into, it's important to not only focus on kind of the market investment space focused publications, okay? So Nat Geo, obviously a very highly regarded publication, and it's unbiased. That's the biggest thing when you look at kind of more, Nat Geo, very well known for being factual. It's unbiased, as far as I know at least. So that's good, especially when you're talking about such a hot stock and a hot company like Moderna, okay? So always remember that, guys, no matter what you're looking at, always look at and again, there's nothing wrong. We're about to look at, with Canopy, we're about to look at an article from a market-focused publication, but there's nothing wrong with them. Just know that it's always good to kind of branch out when you're looking up news and media and information. Okay, so Nat Geo article, a COVID-19 vaccine has passed its first human trial, but is it the front runner? Moderna Therapeutics has just entered phase 2 of its clinical trials. Here's how mRNA vaccines work and what the latest developments mean. All right, so I'm not going to go super deep into this. You guys can go on to read this whole thing for yourself if you want to. But to sum it up, and I also want to say I did look at a few articles. I think this one goes the most in depth, and it's the best article. It's not just for not just for clicks. That's another thing about a lot of the market-focused publications too. They really just want to pull some clicks, and I don't blame them for that. That is their job. But I did really like this Nat Geo article. I think it went into some solid depth. I'll just read you the first paragraph from this, and then again, you guys can go look this up if you want. If you type in Moderna News Nat Geo, it'll for sure come up. All right, so a promising coronavirus vaccine candidate cleared a key hurdle this week when Moderna Therapeutics entered phase 2 of clinical trials. The move signals that the company's mRNA vaccine has passed its initial safety checks and has met an important milestone in bringing this drug closer to the public and commercial markets. All right, so very bullish for Moderna. Again, the stock was rewarded as soon as they dropped the news. Rightfully so. That is very good news. And something I mentioned in my newsletter this morning, I actually just sent this out not too long ago before recording this, is that, and I have mentioned this in other videos before, but you guys have to remember this entire space, this whole sector of vaccine COVID relief projects and companies, biotech specifically, is so sensitive to hype and news and hope. So always keep that in mind. As we saw last week when Moderna was facing a lot of those publicity hurdles, again, rightfully so. It was justifiable that a lot of investors wanted to pull out after hearing some of the shady practices or allegedly shady practices that Moderna was engaging in. But it works as easy as it works good. Again, what took us all the way up here was good news. Then you get some bad news, then you get some good news. We'll probably get some shady news again in the near future, but I'm confident that Moderna will bounce upon this. And I'm going to let you guys know where I think it's going to go. Okay, so again, I've had this drawn for a long time. We did dip down below it, again, last week when all that terrible news is being released. So dip below it, not too far, surprisingly. It did dip to about this previous high right here. So we're going to get technical for a second, okay? I'm not going to go super technical, but I'm just going to let you know what I'm looking at on these charts. or what I'm seeing on these charts, I should say. Okay, so yeah, we got back up to this kind of line of support right here that it's been following since it really started running up a couple months ago. So we're kind of dancing along that. And again, at the end of the day today, we had this huge green bar up, a lot of volume, obviously. With that, that's great news. It makes sense that a lot of investors flooded in to buy as they released that news. So Moderna ended the day up, what, 10.73%. I think it was up a little bit in aftermarket, but I'm not gonna look at that on here. But it was, I remember looking at it on Robinhood, it was up like a percent or so aftermarket. Regardless, still very good for Moderna. I do think, and again, that's why I don't like to I just hold my position, okay? I'm bullish overall on Moderna, even after last week, even after they had a terrible week. Again, some of my options positions were in a place where I was like, it's not even worth it to pull out, just because that's how this thing operates. It operates on good and bad news. With the bad news comes good news. With the good news comes some bad news. Nothing ever goes up. Nothing ever goes straight down. There will be volatility along the way, okay? So it will be interesting. Although I have this circle made right here that you guys may remember from the last video, I personally don't think, unless something great happens, that it will hit this kind of $87 to $90 mark. Again, unless they do release some fantastic news. Again, the stock might, but what I'm actually thinking will happen is the most likely, at least, is that we'll get back up to the like $67 to probably $69 mark. And that is because that would match up with this area of both support. It was just dancing around that area for a long time over here prior to popping off. And also, if you guys are familiar with gap trading, I don't put a whole lot of weight on gaps. Again, I'm fundamentals over technicals, and always remember that, you guys. I always base, like, my base is fundamentals, but I will incorporate technicals just to kind of validate some of my thoughts fundamentally. All right, so again, gap trading, you look for gaps. A lot of time it's pre-market and post-market movement. So you see this gap right here that happened just about a week ago, was at about $66 to $68. So it gapped down. And again, like, it's kind of a weird, it's historically, it's worked a lot of times, okay? It will bounce back to a gap if it is going to pop up and bounce off of this low it had. We can see that where it happened. Where was it? Oh, it's kind of right here. Okay, so you see this gap right here where it gapped up? That's actually the exact area where Moderna actually kind of bottomed out at earlier this week. Okay, so sorry it took me so long to find that. I fully had that ready in my mind. But yeah, you see this gap right here before it gapped up just at the beginning of this month, probably on some great news. That is about the exact same area where it ended up bottoming out after last week's shit show. Okay, so I do think Moderna will see a bounce back up to this $67 to $69 region. I will probably pull a decent amount of my position off, but again, because I am long-term bullish on Moderna, I'm still always going to hold a position, at least a stock position. I'll probably won't alter my stock position, but I will alter my call option positions. That's pretty likely that I'll do that. Okay, so that was a long time on Moderna, sorry about that, but let's move on to Canopy Growth, which saw some bloodshed today. Okay, so I know this was, I just uploaded a video calling this almost my top stock of June, and it was part of my top 3 cannabis companies to watch. I just made a bunch of videos while I'm bullish on cannabis, so I look like an absolute fool right now to a lot of you, I assume, especially because we've been, again, on a hot streak with Moderna, right? We've, even before today, cannabis was doing super well prior to these earnings. But that's what you guys have to remember sometimes. Like, even though it seems like since I made this YouTube channel, it seems like I've been on fire. I can't be right, Nostradamus, whatever. But I've been wrong so many times in my life, and I really want to remind you guys of that. Like, but that's just part of being human, you know. That's part of this game. I've been wrong so many times, but as long in the game of trading, as long as you're right more than you're wrong, you will succeed in the long term. And as long as you learn from your mistakes too. Like, you definitely need to learn from your mistakes. You don't fail unless you quit, okay? So don't quit out, just learn from what you did wrong, learn where you made the error, and correct course after you make that analysis of yourself, where you went wrong. Okay, so in this case, again, I'm not I am surprised. I did think Canopy would have strong earnings based on the fact that a lot of other companies in the space had strong earnings as well. And Canopy, again, being the kingpin of the space, they are the largest company within this sector. I thought they would do well. Backing from Constellation Brands, like everything was kind of lining up for Canopy. But apparently they're just in a time, understandably so, like the macroeconomic environment is so crazy right now. It's not super surprising that they've seen some hardship. No one's perfect. Even the biggest company in the cannabis space really did flop today. Like their earnings did surprise me, but at the same time, I shouldn't say I'm surprised, especially to see it down 20% today. So again, if you guys are involved, you'd know this, but let's go down to CGC right here. Yeah, down about exactly 20% on the day. Very rough day. Again, gap down super significantly. Like even pre-market, it just sold off. But that's because they announced earnings pre-market, so it makes sense. But again, it had a great run-up. It's about where it was. So again, back to the charts, like it kind of just consolidated at this previous area where it was dancing at almost exactly a month ago. Okay, so it spent a lot of time around the $17 mark. So it makes sense. Again, this last high that it got to around here on May 19th, that was actually my birthday, fun fact, that it got to around May 19th, $17 area. So it doesn't surprise me that it kind of just wiped out a lot of the gains that it saw in anticipation of earnings. So again, it popped off in anticipation of good earnings because, again, a lot of these other companies did release good earnings. And then it kind of just wiped out all the gains it had, the anticipation, the hope, the hype gains that it had. Okay, so I think it'll spend some time around here. I do think next week, personally, it'll probably bounce back to around this area where we saw this low on May 27th. So I would look for personally a bounce to about $19, and then Canopy specifically, I'm not so bullish anymore. I'm bullish on them long term, but from a trading perspective, I think it will take a while for them, probably until next quarter, to be completely honest, until they can prove themselves that they're actually sticking to this game plan that they laid out today, which we'll show you right here. Okay, so Canopy Growth earnings, CGC crashes 19% on losses. So yeah, right here, revenue for the quarter is sitting 15% higher than last year, so that's good. So they're seeing a revenue growth year over year. So revenue overall year over year grew 15%, but operating loss of 1.67 billion Canadian dollars fell over year, from a loss of 600 million last year. So this company is bleeding cash. I want to read you guys this. This is an article from Canopy's CEO talking about trying to justify why they lost such a ridiculous amount of money. I'm excited to implement our strategy reset and organization redesign over the course of fiscal 2021. We have a renewed strategic focus and a clear change agenda that is already underway. We are building what we believe is the best cannabis company in the world by putting the consumer at heart of everything we do and are realigning our organization to be faster and more agile. Okay, so again, COVID-19, this macroeconomic environment has posed real issues for everybody. Let's be real. Like every company in the world is struggling. It's crazy that a lot of stocks in the market overall is doing as well as it is, considering the economy is tragic right now. The economy is in absolute shambles. Unemployment is through the roof. It's crazy that the stock market is doing so well. And again, that's because a lot of these hedge funds and huge whale players like market makers are controlling the market right now and just flooding capital into the markets. So it makes sense. But again, it's not surprising that this business is seeing struggle. And again, it's a young industry. The cannabis industry is a young industry. It seems like, obviously, weed has been around forever. People have been smoking weed for a long time. But this industry as a whole, like these companies being public companies, are very young. They still have a lot of learning to do. They're still getting their priorities straight. And my biggest thing with Canopy is that they are backed by Constellation. Again, I have mentioned that in the previous video, but I don't think Constellation Brands, being the powerhouse that they are, will allow Canopy to fail because it makes them look bad. And they have such a strong balance sheet. Again, even Canopy has a strong balance sheet as well still, even though they're bleeding capital. They still have a strong balance sheet. Constellation Brands has such a strong balance sheet. So I don't think they will let them fail. Again, this is a hurdle in the road, but long term, I am still very bullish on Canopy and a lot of these other players. I do think the space will do pretty well, but I think this is definitely a speed bump in the road of this rally that we've been seeing. So just being real, again, it happens, man. You're wrong sometimes, and that's, again, as long as you learn from it and grow from it, that's all that matters in this game. This is a very long game we're playing, okay? You guys want to be investors, you guys want to be traders, understand that this is a game you can play for your entire life, okay? You don't outgrow it, not like an athlete. I mean, this is your sport. Treat this like a sport. Treat it seriously. But you don't outgrow this. Your mind never, I mean, that's why I treat your mind right. I take supplements all day. I prioritize my health. So just going on a little rant, you guys, but understand this is a long game you're playing. You're going to be wrong sometimes. Don't beat yourself up. Just learn from those losses and apply what you've learned to future endeavors. Okay, so moving on from Canopy, again, we'll get to AG. I think this kind of, I should have segued from kind of the macroeconomic environment, but the reason I like AG right now, not only because it's looking super strong on the charts, and actually if you look at TradingView, if you guys don't know, TradingView is the platform I use. This platform right here it has rated it a strong buy. Okay, so TradingView uses algorithms like technical analysis algorithms to dictate whether a stock is worth buying or not, and it's pretty rare to see a strong buy rating on any stock. Okay, so that in itself is a strong factor from a technical perspective. But AG, I'm so bullish on gold, silver, gold miners, especially silver miners, okay? So silver compared to gold right now, the silver to gold ratio is lower than it's ever been. I'm way more bullish on silver and gold. The reason I'm bullish on both gold and silver is because they're safe haven assets, okay? So when the global economy is in a tough spot and investors are scared, they will flood their capital into safe haven assets, which are store value assets. Again, gold and silver have and Bitcoin. Again, you guys know I'm bullish on Bitcoin. We won't get into that now. But gold and silver is safe haven assets, okay? When people are scared, when people aren't comfortable putting their money in equities and companies, they will put their capital into gold and silver because they retain value and grow with value as times get harder. And again, there's a lot of crazy things going on in the world right now. There's a lot of uncertainty, not only with the COVID epidemic, but a lot of civil and public unrest just going on in the United States specifically. For my international viewers, I'm sure you're familiar with what's going on. There's a lot of civil unrest right now. And that's why that is a big factor to why these gold and silver miners are doing good, because there is more, as more fear accumulates in the ecosystem, people will want to put their capital, again, into these safe haven assets, somewhere they feel like an asset they feel like will retain their value while they're still invested, and it still has the potential to provide returns. Okay, so that gold and silver, again, and Bitcoin, I've made this argument a lot. You guys go watch some of my Bitcoin videos, just talking about why these safe haven store value assets are so important when the entire world is printing trillions of dollars, okay? So like inflation, if you guys aren't familiar with inflation, it's when a currency becomes devalued over time. Okay, so that's why like $1 US could buy a freaking gallon of gas. Way more than, there's probably like 25 cents bought a gallon of gas, you know, like 50 years ago or something. As the government prints more and more money, over time, it may not seem like it now, but over time it will have an impact on the overall value of your dollar. And that's why gold and silver and Bitcoin are very appealing investments to me right now, and why a big chunk of my portfolio is heavily weighted in those, is because it's a hedge to this current economic uncertainty and the fact that these governments are printing trillions of dollars, okay? I feel like my capital is a lot safer in those than in US dollars, okay? So I will, again, it may not seem like it right now. I still feel like we're in a bubble overall in the current equity markets. I do still feel like there's a lot of catching up to do in terms of the fact that the economy is in shambles and the markets are just on absolute fire, which is, again, crazy to me. I get it, but I do think it will catch up at some point. Not now, but sometime in the near future, probably around the end of summer. But again, I'll keep you guys updated with this. That was a rant. Again, I feel very strongly about that. I just want you guys to know kind of what I'm thinking about the overall macro environment in terms of the markets. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. If you guys do want to know my exact positions in any of these, if you guys want to get some of this content sooner than later, I should say, than when I upload these videos, because I tend to upload videos a little later on. If you guys don't know, I do live in Hawaii. It's like 6 hours behind the Eastern time in the US, and 3 hours behind the West Coast time. So I do upload videos a little later in the day. It might be almost a little too late for some of you. Some of you might wake up to these videos. But again, I do send out, like the Moderna news, I sent out a newsletter, just kind of almost a breaking news style newsletter on that. So I will send those out. I'll send out cool links and things I'm looking at, as well as an update of my portfolio every single day, and of course the complete breakdown of every single position in my portfolio. Okay, so you get every single position exactly in my portfolio, along with a daily update every trading day, and sometimes almost every day whenever I'm feeling like it. But for sure, every trading day, I'll send out a newsletter in regards to what I'm thinking about my positions, what I've changed, and why I'm investing, why I made the trades I did, and kind of just what I'm thinking about the overall markets. Okay, so I'm really excited about that. That's a super exciting venture to me. I keep getting better and better at it. Like anything else, obviously, the more you do it, the better you get. So yeah, check that out if you're interested in all. It's $15 a month. If you think it's shitty and want to bail out, you can just opt right out of it. So yeah, check that out. First link in the description. I'd really appreciate it if you guys do that. It really helps support the channel and encourages me to continue making content like this. And as always, drop a comment if in regards to anything I was ranting about today. Always love talking shop with you guys. Again, I learned so much from you guys down in the comments. It's crazy. So yeah, drop a comment if you want to talk about anything at all. And I think we'll wrap it up there. Okay, that was a solid rant. But always remember, you guys, take action, make waves in this world. Until next time, peace. All right, bye guys.